Welcome back to another podcast short with me and Dustin. I'm going to dive into some discussions we've been having about the book, The Messiah Method, which is about the Messiah college soccer teams from 2000 to 2010, which were the most successful soccer programs at any level of college athletics. They were that good. And backstory: the book was written by a leadership professor there, who was like, "Gosh, this is pretty special. What's going on? I'm going to study it," and tries to pull out some principles that others can use. So we're going to discuss one of those today. Where early in the book, the author says that he determined, at least, and I'm paraphrasing here, that the primary purpose of the soccer teams there and the coaches was to create an environment. And there, specifically at Messiah, they were trying to create an environment where athletes grow, thrive, and represent their God well, gratefully. So let's focus on the create an environment, Dustin. Do you agree, disagree in terms of the primary role of the coach?
Yeah, I think when that book was written, environment was a word that might be now used as culture.
Yeah.
Created a culture. There are so many definitions of culture. The one I like the most is how we do what we do. And so you're creating an environment or creating a culture. Maybe the culture is the establishment of that environment where um, how we do what we do is, and then fill in the blank. How we do what we do is incredibly respectful. How we do what we do is detailed. We work hard at the word I use is transferable skills. So yeah, I think every team, every good team creates an environment or creates a culture or you're going to have a culture whether you want to create it or not. You have an environment on your team in your workplace whether you're intentional about creating it or not. If you don't, one will take form or take shape. So the fun part is, how do you do that? And what are those things built on? What is a great culture environment built on? I think we talk about the 3 C's in our book about that. We talk about transferable skills. I think right now, time and place, great environments, great cultures. Book you've read, Rob, and I've read some of it, but they do hard things together, and how they respond and react to adversity.
Mhm.
Those are so important for creating a real environment or culture that people want to thrive in. I also think creativity, a chance to fail and ask questions in environments. Um, I think you maximize that. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think one thing they talk about later on in the book that I agree with is everything's intentional. So you don't leave it up to chance. And using our 3 C's, I think systems of care is just paramount to building, I agree, of environment and then culture, um, where this is how we do things. And as simple as we've talked in past podcast episode, I'm sure, even how you walk into practice or a game, being intentional on that, from what you talk about to how coaches walk to the locker room and who they're walking with. All those things um, shouldn't be left up to chance. And I've seen championship programs that do leave it up to chance and it works. But that next level of intentionality, in whatever it is, I think is how you become a Messiah college soccer, where it's intentional. And the other thing I'd say, and I want your response to this, is we've been studying motivation the last 2 years with our student athletes. And what surprised us wasn't that a majority of them told us that relationships are their primary motivator. It was that it was teammates and then family were the primary two, even before coaches. So I point to that and think to the Messiah method of right on. I think the coach's job is no less important, but it's how quickly can they cultivate an environment where people are caring about each other and building relationships.
And then you talk about who gets to lead that at the beginning, and then who takes the lead on that.
Mhm.
So brand new program coach has to set that model, but players believe players and customers believe customers. And so when that is, hey, here is here's how we do it. And it's in and I think sometimes, if I may, when I was a younger coach, it's like, this is how we do it because I said it and I'm the head coach.
Yeah.
And later, hopefully now it's like, hey, this is how we do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's and guys love each other and guys are challenged. And this is something you want to be a part of. which I want to go back to one thing you said, like as intentional as how we start practice. 3 years ago, when our guys came back from Christmas break in the spring, we locked the door. I had everything laid out for guys to come in. When guys came in, I shook their hand and put my hand on their shoulder and looked them right in the eye. And every guy, and I just said, "Hey, that may seem goofy, but that's how I'm going to greet you every day at practice, and that's how I want you to greet everyone else." I hadn't read the book yet.
Mhm.
If you come to a practice for us, when a guy puts his bag down, gets there, he will go to each guy, hand and one on the shoulder, and say, "Hey, let's get after it today," or "Hey, glad to see you," or whatever that is. And as goofy as that sounds, because I wouldn't have believed that.
Mhm.
I'm like, really, how we start? I look at it now. It's part of
It's a
our
real thing.
environment. It's a
Yeah.
core thing.
Mhm.
Like, we're gonna greet each other, we're gonna acknowledge each other, we're gonna look each other in the eye, we're say, "Good to see you, man," and away we go. And it's almost it's almost like I can't start practice without that with each guy.
Mhm.
So, the intentional piece of that, huge. And, now the fun part is, how do you do that within your program?
Yeah. So 2 follow-up questions, and I think this gets at the core of what we're talking about. 1, if we remove the scoreboard from everything, what would still make your program worth being part of? I think that's what it gets down to, the core environment. If we took that piece away, what makes it?
Well, and you just said it a minute ago in the study, it's relationships.
Yep.
That I would wanna compete and do all these hard things physically and then also mentally, emotionally, because not everybody gets to play the same amount. Like, what makes it worth it to be part of that? And I think long term, it is relationships. Go deep here, a chance to celebrate the gifts that I have. I've talked about this. I'm getting better at it. When we perform, when we compete, could that actually be a form of worship that we say you've been given gifts and talents when you go do that? But at the baseline level, a chance to compete and to play. There's something important about
Yep.
being able to just play.
Yeah.
But relationships
And
100% trumpet.
and take away the scoreboard and do that, you cannot accomplish that environment without a bunch of intentionality.
100.
I mean, I don't wanna say scripted, but scripted initially, and this is how we do it. Um, Last question, I wanna put you on the spot here. If a parent of a recruit watched your team for a week, what would they say you valued most?
Well, I sure hope it would be relationships.
Mhm.
I'll give you the line that I get from parents often, and again, still growing,
Yeah.
and maybe they caught me on a good week. Coach, we love seeing how you interact with the guys.
Mhm.
How you shake hands, how you hug them, um, the transparency of the conversation. Um, but more than that, I would sure hope to be like, that's not coach, that's the guys.
Yeah.
And I said to every recruit, "Hey," and I'm betting on our team, our environment, and our culture. I say, "Hey, listen, I'm really good on the phone, and so are a million other coaches. Get here, be with our guys without me, and if it's not great, don't come here because that means I'm a liar."
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're saying. How are you treated? And I think there's an honesty component that parents and players really want,
Mhm.
really want. That's an emotional one for me though, because I get to thinking about players wanting to be part of something so bad, and when their time's over, it's like, "Man, I'm gonna miss that."
Yeah. And I think when we're talking about the question of somebody watching from the outside, it really challenges you, and I'd recommend everybody do this kinda thought experiment, to refine what you're doing.
Mm,
And I know for me, when I watch young coaches, or I think back of myself as a young coach, actually, I'll say this: when I went from coaching to AD, one realization my first year was how much I wasted time on things that didn't matter. Watching more film, doing all these things, and um, all that stuff matters.
yeah.
But I overdid that as opposed to, yeah, building relationships, studying this kind of stuff because I think that's the thing that takes you over the top.
Isn't it interesting that we say that? I think we say it in the interview process. We get in the seat, and all of a sudden, we're shifted to all these technical things. At the end of the day, you and I would both say if you had a group that was willing to do whatever you asked at their highest level for one another, and yeah, competent on the technical things, or you had the other group had all the technical things, but wouldn't battle together, I'd take that first group every single time.
Yeah.
And it's way more fun.
Yeah, right on.
So, yeah.
Any final thoughts?
These are great questions. I hope that people listening, coaches listening, I hope that they'll grapple with this with their institution, because I think it will be really fun. And I think you'll learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
We were able to do that as young coaches,
Yeah.
even though we didn't know it, and that really helped. So
Yeah.
blessings.
And we're still doing it. Thank you for listening to another episode of Beyond Coaching. Beyond Coaching is a podcast developed and produced by the Impactful Coaching Project with the support of Friends University. The Impactful Coaching Project seeks to develop coaches that coach the whole person and is the thought leader in coaching the 21st century athlete. The Impactful Coaching Project produces training, information, and research to help coaches improve. To see more information, go to impactfulcoachingproject.substack.com. Thank you.